Well, welcome to this week's edition of the Don't Argue with the King of the Don't Argue in Kurt Gidley. All thanks to Palmerbet, of course. And Gids, great to be back for another week, mate. And what a fantastic week it was, round 11 in the NRL.
Yeah, mate, great week, Matty. And we can just smell Origin, mate, just around the corner. You know, there's a bit of talk in the media and just see where current players who played the last series, you know, where their form is at. So, yeah, it's a great time of the year, mate, to be getting to this stage of leading in and Origin talk, mate, and let the games kick off, mate, from a headline and media point of view.
Kids, from a playing point of view, it's the pinnacle, is it? Like, is that, you know, you look back at your career now, mate, and those Origin games, and that is that as good as it gets?
I think so, mate. It's as tough as it gets, no doubt. Yeah. Like physically and mentally, you know, it's such a bloody tough game to be playing. And you've got the best players in the world, I believe. Obviously, international footy and representing your country is such a proud moment, and you know, an awesome experience to be singing the national anthem in the green and gold. But I must say, the actual competitiveness, the toughness, the grubbiness of Origin. You know, I played through an era where there was still a fair bit of stuff going on in the tackles, mate, and a few stinks involved during the games. So, but it was bloody tough, you know, and mentally as well. That's the other part. Like, you think you pushed your body to limits, you know, playing NRL week in, week out. Well, once you get to Origin, it kicks up a whole new few gears again. So, but mate, it's awesome, great experience. The whole build up is awesome. But we'll probably get back into a bit more of that next week, mate. But yeah, the footy, the rounds just keep ticking by, mate, and here we are, round 12 at the moment.
Now, listen, you super duper multi last week too. You only missed on the Knights. They've let you down again, mate. All right, you had to go with them, but they got absolutely smashed by the Broncos. And the only other game, the Warriors was the one, and it was a cracking game too against the Dragons. They only just narrowly went down by 6. And I think the only other one you missed was then the Raiders, the Rabbitohs.
Yeah,
so you were pretty close,
big upset.
Mate.
Yeah, good upset there by the Raiders. And we'll talk a little bit about the Rabbitohs at the moment. They've been a little bit inconsistent this year, and I know there's a few question marks by the sound of it within. But yeah, interesting time, mate, of the year. But we haven't. There's a couple of teams at the top there that seem to be playing consistent. Little chink in the armour at the Storm there over the last couple of weeks. But let's get stuck into sort of what happened there last week, mate.
Mate, I want to talk about the Cowboys, to be honest, kids, because they are really in fast becoming. I know they come up against the Storm that's been hit pretty hard with injury over the last couple of weeks, but they're just getting the job done, aren't they, mate? They are the real deal. And in your eyes, you know, and they come up against the Panthers, another test this weekend, and they're the outsiders again. But do you think they are the real deal, mate?
Well, I think they are, yeah, definitely the real deal. They're proving it because they're playing consistent footy. As I say, I've mentioned over the last few weeks that they seem to be enjoying themselves on the field and off the field, which is, you know, has a huge impact on team morale and confidence and belief and actually enjoying your footy too. You know, that's the other part. So, the Storm are hit by a few injuries, but, you know, a lot of teams are. You know, it's pretty rare that teams are putting the same team on the park back to back. But I think you'll see if teams are, you know, selecting the same team back to back week in, week out, there's some consistency there. Well, there's some consistency in those combinations, so it does make a big difference. And there seems to be a lot of teams that just struggling with getting the same guys on the park, which is a big challenge for the coaches.
Now, what about the race for the 8, the top 8? This is on in earnest, and the boys at Palmerbet have been kind enough to give us a little bit of a market here. But there's a logjam of sides on 10 points. We've got the Rabbitohs, the Raiders, Manly, and the Dragons. They're all on 10 points. They currently sit 8 to 11th on the ladder. Who would you take, Gids, at the moment out of those 4 teams as the lock?
Yeah, I was just having a look at that, Matty. But look, Turbo out for the year for Manly, huge loss.
Massive.
I know they actually.
How unlucky Turbo been?
Oh, mate, I feel sorry for him. He's such looks like one of the real nice guys of the game and such a superstar. You know, I don't think there's too many players that dislike Turbo. So it's a real shame for him, and it just an unfortunate injury. You know, just reached out trying to save a try, putting his body on the line, and just that body weight of one of the opposition players, and it's a really awkward position. You see it happen when guys are sometimes scoring a try. I'll lean out, reach out, and then there's just that pressure on the back of the shoulder. And it's painful, number one, when you sublux or dislocate your shoulder. And I've done that one, and it's such a bloody slow recovery. So when he goes in, he's probably getting a shoulder reconstruction, I would imagine. And it's a really slow process, mate, that rehab from there, especially when you do it now, mid-year. Like, you're not playing footy till, trial games 2023.
Unbelievable, mate.
Yeah, big loss for him, big loss.
Who's going to make the
So,
eight,
mate, going back to your question, I've got the Rabbitohs and Raiders in. Raiders are a bit of a smoky, mate. I think they've been showing a fair bit of grit and resilience. I like Sticky as a coach, but I just think over the last 2 weeks, they upset the Sharks up at Magic Round, and they seem to be showing some grit. It sounded like they faced a fair bit of adversity last week with a number of the team having to separate and train on different days and different times of the day with a flu outbreak. So they're showing some real grit at the moment, the Raiders.
Yeah, really good win last weekend too, that is for sure. The market to make the top 8 has the Rabbits at $1.65, Manly at $2.50, Raiders at $2.80, and the Dragons at $5.50. So pretty good value there, Gids at $2.80, just to make the top 8. I reckon that's the way to go. All thanks to Palmer Bet.
I'll tell you what, pretty good odds for the Dragons too, if they can, show some consistency week in, week out as well. So interesting couple of markets there. Oh, the Raiders 280. I think that's pretty short, to be honest. I know I've just said give them a bit of a wrap, but I still think 280 is pretty short. But geez, Dragons 550 might be worth a little wager.
Right, he might have changed a little bit there, I reckon, Gids. Hey, listen, it's Indigenous Round, of course, this weekend. Looking forward to it, of course, round number 12. There's always things happening in the NRL, which is just fantastic. When you think of Indigenous players and that, Gids, like who are some of the players that spring to mind? Like, I'm a big Jonathan Thurston fan. I think everybody is. He's just an absolute superstar, and I love GI too, especially those try celebrations and what he did at the Storm and what he did through his whole career. What about yourself, Gids? Like, who are some of the Indigenous players that stick out in your mind?
Well, from the early days, mate, when I was sitting on the hill watching the Newcastle Knights play, there was guys who I played with, like Tamana Tahu, Owen Craigie was amazing. He was playing first grade when he was 17, still going to school, and won a grand final in '97. The very first ever Newcastle Knights signing was Ash the Flash Gordon, which was he was a crowd favourite. Good goal kicker, picked up plenty of tries. But as far as opponents that I played against, I really admired someone like a Preston Campbell. Again, I don't think too many. Yep. I don't think there was anyone in the game that disliked Preston, and in fact, I'd say a lot of his opponents actually admired the way he played the game. Super tough, obviously really skillful and quick. Yeah. But for a guy of his size, mate, he was so well respected, I think.
What about Anthony Mundine, mate? Another one, and I admire for everything that people see with Anthony Mundine and that, but what he's been able to do at elite level in a couple of sports, I think is just absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it? And he was a super talent.
For sure. Oh, for sure, mate. He was actually in my box at the Broncos game last Thursday night. He was there with Owen Craigie. So I grabbed him and got him up on stage. I'd never sort of met Choc too many times, but I thought I'll seize the moment. And man, I just it was just off the cuff. I just asked him about his playing career. It was funny. The two boys in my box there, Owen Craigie won the 1997 ARL Grand Final of the Knights. Choc Mundine won the 1997 Super League Grand Final with the Brisbane Broncos.
Wow.
So it was good. We had a bit of banter on stage there. Who would have won the overarching grand final? And of course, they both backed their own teams from '97. But yeah, pretty cool to have both those guys just for a bit of an informal chat on stage. And yeah, you got to admire what Choc did, during his playing career. And we polarised some people with his outspoken comments, but he was very humble. Even just on Thursday night, he said, that was part of my personality and part of the game. Certainly when I was boxing, I had to sell fights and I had to do it with some comments, and that's what boxing is about. But he was very humble in what he'd achieved in both sports, and was very proud of it, which fair enough to him.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Well, it is Indigenous Round and great to celebrate it, that is for sure. And they're just wonderful, wonderful people and been wonderful in the sport of NRL.
Sorry, mate. One other I just had written down. Yeah. And again, I played against him. David Pucci.
Oh, yeah, legend.
David Pucci at the Sharks, mate. Like, just seemed
running
to just
to,
glide across the park. And there was probably another guy, Indigenous guy from Newcastle, Jason Moody. Jason Moody played for the Knights, played for Parramatta, and they had similar running styles. We're a little bit taller, but they just seemed to float across the ground. And I reckon like a Peachy and GI, they seem to be able to see things unfold just a fraction earlier than everyone else around them. Whether it was catching the ball and fending at the same time, or footwork and fending, or catching. They used to be able to sort of multitask and still be aware of their surroundings. So amazing players.
Brilliant, kids. Hey, listen, let's have a look at this weekend's round of matches then. Round number 12, Thursday night footy. I love Thursday night. And this is going to be an absolute belter at Amy Park in Melbourne. It's a Storm taking on the Manly Sea Eagles. Look, we've seen the Storm the last couple of weeks been a tad disappointing with a lot of players out there at $1.15 head-to-head. The Sea Eagles at $5.50. At the line, the Storm is minus 16.5 at $1.90. Now, the Storm have won 5 straight v Manly, okay? And Justin Olam has 3 tries in his last 2 games against Manly. Just a couple of key stats there, Gids. What are your thoughts? Do you think they're going to bounce back on their home deck?
Well, I think they will. And they flashed to the box a couple of times there last week when the Storm were copping a bit of a touch-up by the Cowboys. And it almost looked like Belly was, accepting of a few of their players out injured, but I tell you, they flashed again not long later, and he was he was holding the Stephen Kearney, the assistant coach's headset, and screaming into it, as we've seen plenty of times before. And I think it's poor old Hoffy on the sideline that cops the brunt of that. But mate, on the back of probably some pretty honest video session and clips that he would have cut from this week, I'm expecting a big response from the Storm, and the Eagles obviously missing Turbo. Obviously, Ruben Garrick going into fullback, he's a super player, but I just think lost a bit of their soul there with Turbo being out for the year. So I'm going to go Storm for a big turnaround here and a pretty healthy margin. I've actually looked up a bit of odds, mate, on the Palmerbet app, and I'm going to go for a bit more of a healthy odds, mate. Melbourne to win by 16 to 20 points, $6.25.
Love it, Kidsy. It's so easy to get around that Palmerbet app too. Very, very easy to do. That is for sure. Doubleheader on Friday night. The Panthers taking on the Cowboys. This is at Panthers Stadium. Of course, this is at 6 p.m., so an early kickoff. $1.30 the Panthers, Cowboys $3.56. At the line, the Panthers minus 10.5 at $1.90. Some key stats here, Gids. Panthers have won their last 3 matchups with the Cowboys. Okay, so that's important to note. But the Cowboys, they're on a 6-game winning streak. This is going to be their biggest test to date. What's a pass mark, Gids? What's the pass mark here for the Cowboys?
Oh, I think a pass mark sort of within 6 to 12 points, 1 or 2 tries. I think that's a pass mark. The Panthers are just so well drilled, so clinical. Everyone knows their role. Every time they put on a set play, everyone looks like they're doing their job, and that's the most important thing. So, look, as I said, Origin is around the corner, and I know what it's like. For some of these guys who are absolute walk-up starts for Origin, that'll be in the back of their mind, and they'll also, I think, subconsciously be thinking, I just want to get through this game so I can get into state of origin and get into camp. So, interesting game. I still think Panthers are a special here, but I think it's a pass mark, mate, if the Cowboys can get within a try or 2. But I'm going to take the Panthers without minus 10.5 start for $1.90.
Yeah, right. Beautiful, mate. Love it. Let's go next game. Second of the doubleheader, 7:55 Suncorp Stadium. Broncos taking on the Titans. That's a battle of Queensland. Broncos $1.32. Titans are $3.42 at the line. The Broncos minus 9.5 $1.90. They split their games last year, but the Broncos, mate, they're on fire at the moment. They've won their last 5, kids.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since they've won 5 in a row too. I heard Kevy on the press conference there on the radio during the week, and he said, everyone's got a real spring in their step and bounce around. They're happy. He said it's been a while before they've been able to really enjoy that sort of moment. They've had a couple of tough years, so they're in a good headspace at the moment. Obviously, a massive win it was without Reynolds too last week. He was ruled out game day, and I think that they'll take even more confidence from being able to win without their star halfback, because he was on fire before. He had a bit of a groin problem, I think it was. So I think they'll continue with their winning streak and take it to six wins in a row. Mate, I did mention their outside backs last week, and I was worried about that, for the Knights players, because I just think all those guys, they're big, they're tall, they're so athletic, aggressive. Katoni Stagg, so and again, it's the same five outside backs that are lining up again.
Yeah, they're building.
Yeah, they're building. They are. So I'm on the Bronx again here, and I'm on them 13 plus, mate. 245.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Kids, right. Next game, Warriors v Knights. This game is Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. at Moreton Daily Stadium. Warriors narrowly going down last week. Coming up against the Knights side that just need a victory. They're $1.60. Knights $2.35 at the line. The Warriors minus 3.5 at $1.90. Knights won both games last year, both by 4 points. So they were close affairs. And 3 of the last 4 Warriors losses have been by 6 points or less. I'm going to go against you.
Right.
I reckon that the Warriors are absolute specials here at $1. I know that's bad to hear.
Well, mate, if it wasn't for my staunch loyalty of the Newcastle Knights, yeah, mate, I'd be with you. And I'm just looking at their team here. Reece Walsh, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Sean Johnson, Murdoch Masala as front row. So, mate, they're going to be dangerous this week. And as I say, they'll smell some blood in the water here with the Knights. The Knights, unfortunately, have lost another one. Bradman Best, I don't know if you've seen, dislocated elbow, which looked horrific. He put his arm out, landed on the ground near the sideline, and actually ran off with it dislocated. So there's another one gone for the Newcastle Knights, unfortunately. Made a positive one. I did think Milford's return to the game, return to the NRL was a good one. I thought he looked dangerous in the first half. He's probably a little bit gassed in the second half, but I think his return to the NRL was a positive one overall, and just looked dangerous and looked quick and light on his feet. So he's there in the halves. Jake Clifford returns from reserve grade at the Newcastle Knights, which he's had a few weeks off, and we'll see what he can bring to the team. I also think, mate, there's an opportunity here for a few guys who probably haven't been up to the form they were at this stage last year, leading to Origin. Daniel Safudi now needs to, if he wants to play Origin, needs to hold his spot, needs a big game. Tyson Frizzell. So it's a really big game for the Knights, both as a club and also some individuals if they want to get in Origin.
So you sticking fat, kids?
I'm going to go with the Knights as outsiders, mate. Just head-to-head 235.
Just take it,
That's
mate.
my heart. That's my heart saying that.
Yeah, not after you, big fella. Hey, Rabbitohs taking on the Tigers Saturday, 5:30 p.m. at Accor Stadium. Rabbitohs $1.38, Tigers $3.07 at the line. The Rabbits minus 8.5 is $1.90. Now Tigers won their round 7 clash, and we can't forget that game too. It was an absolute beauty. Johnson has scored a try or more in 5 of the last 6 games, so that's an unbelievable stat as well. How do you see the Tiggies were good last week, mate?
Yeah, they were, mate. They were up against, I think it was the Dogs last week. So the Dogs had a pretty turbulent week, to be honest. If they didn't get up for that one and win that one, there'd be some real question marks there at the Tigers. So yeah, they did get the win there. They done it without Luke Brooks last week. Luke Brooks is back in this week by the looks of the team. Cam Murray back in for the Rabbits. I'm pretty sure he wants to get back in and have a good game and push his case for Origin. But yeah, the Rabbits, I don't know, mate, they've been a little bit inconsistent this year. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I'm the same, mate. Up and down. They're a bit like a couple other teams, like Roosters, Parramatta. They're all a little bit around the same, aren't they? Like they just can't put together some consistent performances, and you just don't know what you're going to get with some of these sides week in, week out, kids.
Nah, mate, and that's where we, going back to what we spoke about there, who's going to make the top 8. The Rabbits are short to make the top 8, but they're probably they're not playing the consistent form they need to at the moment to be there at the end. But I am going to back them on this occasion, mate. So I think they've got a better outfit, better roster at the moment there by that team sheet, and I'm going to back the Rabbits. I'm going to take them minus 8.5, mate.
Righto. Sharks v Roosters, Saturday night at Shark Park. Match of the round for mine. Head-to-head, Sharks $1.78, Roosters $2.05. At the line, the Sharks minus 1.5, $1.90. Now, listen to these for key stats, okay? Roosters have won their last 6 matchups against the Sharks, right? So that's a pretty good stat. And the Roosters, though, have not scored more than 16 points in all their losses in 2022. So
All their
that's
losses. Yeah, okay.
but they're the outsider here,
Interesting.
kids, but they've won their last
Yeah,
six.
they are the outsiders. Look, as I say, the Sharks have probably played more consistent footy throughout season 2022.
But the
Roosters a little bit
Roosters best.
inconsistent, but
The Roosters
I
best
like
is good enough to blow them away here, isn't it?
yeah, for sure. Look, the Roosters over the past probably month have just flexed their muscle a bit more, and a few of their key players are hitting some better form and where they previously should be. So. Really tough game to pick as a punter. Sharks at Shark Park too. I think they'll have a great turnout. Should be nice and fresh out there Sunday evening. So really, really exciting game to be sitting back and watching. I'm going to go with the Roosters, mate. Just head to head.
Yeah, I like it. I'm keen on the Roosters. I just, as I said, I reckon their best is good enough to kind of get the job done 9 times out of 10 against Cronulla. But they've done nothing wrong, the Sharks. So I don't want to be the knock.
No, they haven't. They've got Will Kennedy back this week too from that suspension where he sort of coat hanging his opponent there the other week. So that'll probably just bring a bit of stability for the halves as well.
Righto, next game, Bulldogs v Dragons, Sunday, Belmore Sports Ground. The Bulldogs, where are they at? $2.45 head-to-head. Dragons $1.55. The Dragons at the line minus 4.5, $1.90. Split their games last year. Bulldogs have scored 20-plus points once this year. Dragons have scored 20-plus points twice this year. So offensively, both these sides are struggling a little bit, kids.
Yeah, struggling defensively, that's for sure. Bulldogs obviously under some pressure, mate. It's really tough for the players at the moment. Mick Potter obviously taking over the head coaching gig for the rest of the year, and he knows his role is going to be there from now till the end of the season. But it's still going to be a turbulent, I think, phase from week in, week out to get yourself up mentally, get yourself up for every game. Obviously, I know they're talking in the media that they're doing their best. There's a lot of players who come out and show their support in respect to Trent Barrett. But I think just mentally, when things go against certain players or they face some adversity during games, that's where, mate, up here is such an important part of a professional athlete. You need to be able to push through adversity and challenges, overcome those, and believe in the ability. So, unfortunately, that all those things are probably running pretty low at the moment for the Dogs. So I'm going to go with the Dragons, mate. I think they can have a bit of a towel up here, 13 plus.
Yeah, right. They're going to get the job done pretty comfortably against just a disappointing Bulldogs at the moment for mine. Final game, and I mentioned the Sharks and Roosters as match of the round. This game's got to be pushing it, to be honest. Raiders taking on the Eels. Fair bit at stake. It's like a 4-point game, this one for mine. 4:05 at GIA Stadium. Head-to-head Raiders, $2.60. Eels, $1.50. Eels at the line, minus 5.5 at $1.90. There's some key stats. Split the games last year. The Raiders are on a 3-game winning streak. The Eels, they're a little bit of one of those teams, once again, that's just a little bit up and down with their form. Their best is good enough. They've beaten the Panthers and the Storm. But you just sense something's building with the Canberra Raiders, don't you, Gids?
Yeah, for sure, mate. As I said before, they're showing some grit and some determination, mate. They're fighting for their wins, and they're playing some exciting footy, which is great to see. And on the flip side, the old Eels have just slipped back down to number 6. I certainly had them locked in for a definite top 4 spot, and they're just not quite hitting the mark where they want to be at the moment. Again, if I'm looking at their team list, it's a pretty impressive team. They're wheeling out week to week, but they're just not quite clicking week in, week out at the moment. I know they're sort of criticised themselves a little bit at that they've got up for the best teams in the competitions like the Panthers and the Storm, but that these are the games that they can't afford to drop if they want to be a top 4 team. So, mate, I actually had the Eels circled here. I've crossed them out. I've gone for a smoky on the outside over the Raiders. And I think, it's a tough time to go down to Canberra this time of year. It's over the last sort of week or so. There's been a nice old chill in the air, and mate, as much as players and coaches talk about we can't control the outside factors. It can be raining, snowing, hailing, freezing cold. We can't control that. But, mate, again, what's up here between the ears? It's all that external noise can have an influence on how much you want to get involved in the game. And So, mate, I'm going to go for an upset here. I'm going to go the Eels. I think they're in a good headspace at the moment.
Yeah. You're going to go the Raiders. You're going the Raiders.
Sorry, Raiders, mate. Yeah, Raiders.
I love it, mate.
Raiders.
I just like what they're doing at the moment. And I'm with you on this one. I just think that if there is going to be a little bit of an upset, I reckon that certainly could be it. At a nice little price, $2.60 head-to-head, all thanks to the boys at Palmerbet. Now, Gids, what do you got for us, mate? What is your best bet? What's your lay-down Misère bet of the weekend that ain't going to lose?
Mate, can you just get the Palmer app up for me, mate? And just give me a little same-game multi here for the drag. Can you give me Dragons 13+?
Right, hang on.
Anytime try scorer Ben Hunt.
Right, Dragons 13+. Gee whiz, you putting.
I just think, mate, Ben Hunt. When the Dragons have gone well, he's been a key person on the field during those games. I remember the Roosters game, Anzac Day, coming into Origin, mate. He seems to find form. He'd be definitely. I think he'd be definitely the.
Right, Ben Hunt's
the 14 in the Queensland team because he can cover it.
Right, so you want Ben Hunt to score. Right, this
Ben Hunt to score.
This is how easy it is, and then you want the Raiders. The Dragons to win by 13+.
Yeah,
is that right? Right, margin markets. Here we go. Total points, win markets. Here we go.
I just think he's so influential, mate, in that Dragons team. And as I say, Origin just around the corner. He'll definitely want to be part of the Origin series. And I think we've seen over the past few years that, mate, he gets right up for Origin and he can cause the New South Wales team some real headaches.
Right, so the Dragons to win, well, it's 16-20, right?
16-20, great.
16-20, okay, $8.50. Into the $5 is going to get us $38.46, mate. The Penny Hunt to score into the Dragons 16-20. That's huge.
That is huge. Yeah,
that's huge. I like it. Now, listen, what else? You got any other value for us, mate?
Mate, I like the Storm. I like the Storm as bouncing back after a couple of losses. So I think, mate, they're back at home. I can see a great performance coming out of the Storm there, and a real tough one. I think they'll be real competitive, and they'll be fighting and scrapping, mate, any way they can to get their season back on track. Not too many times, mate. The Storm lose, 2 in a row, but certainly not any more than 2. I don't think they'll over the past number of seasons they wouldn't have lost 3 in a row too many times. So expecting a big response from the Storm.
Well, that's only it's only $1.15. You got to give us some better value than that, Gids.
Oh, $1.15? No. 16. No, 16 to 20 point margin.
Oh, righto. That's where the value
$6.25.
That's where the value's coming in, mate. I'm thinking, mate, head to head.
No. I'm thinking, mate, the 16 to 20 point margin. I think it's going to be a bit of a towel up.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, lost Turbo. I know they're still got a great team, but I wouldn't like to be facing the Storm after a towel up like they got last week.
Right, love it, mate. That is the V. So Ben Hunt to score for the Dragons to win 16-20. That gets you about $38-39, and then the Storm to win 16-20. That's
it, mate.
Love it.
I did put my money where my mouth was last week. I took Milford anytime try score, and I backed the Knights. And let's just say, Palmerbet, you won.
Hey,
you're the winner.
And gamble responsibly. That is the key message too, kids.
Mate, absolutely.
All that kind of stuff. But download.
I know my limits.
Easy. Absolutely, mate. We've all got to know our limits. But get involved because the app is really easy to navigate. And the old same game multis, you can have a heap of fun with them, kids.
Yeah, they're exciting ones, mate. They're get your mates involved. Get a tip from each of your mates, and so you get the whole group involved in it together, and you get to get a bit of banter on the text or the WhatsApp group. That's the fun stuff, mate. But Matty, I'm keen to see. Obviously, as we spoke about at the start, the Indigenous Round, mate, big weekend this weekend.
Awesome.
Normally brings out a few post-try celebrations. So
love it.
Mate, hopefully we see a few of the real superstars, Indigenous boys, who can show us a little bit of culture, mate, or some acrobats after their tries.
Now, listen, you didn't give me, you laid a lot of names on the table as your favourite Indigenous players. I want one. You can only name one, Gids. Favourite Indigenous player of all time.
Oh, mate, I think Tamana Tahu.
Yeah.
Tamana Tahu, yeah. I played with Tamana. I played against Tamana when he went to Parramatta. And, oh, man, he's just super athletic. You know, Tamana was famous. I don't know if you remember. Tamana was famous for dunking the footy over the crossbar for a while. They talk about after try celebration. So that was kind of that was Tamana's trademark. You know, he'd score a try, come over, and he could dunk the footy over the crossbar. So that was some good memories, mate. Yeah. So super athletic. Loved his basketball, and mate, super aggressive in defence too. So he was one of my favourites to play alongside.
Beautiful, mate. I'm going to go JT, mate. Jonathan Thurston, absolute ornament of the game. What a legend, and great to see him get that premiership a couple of years back too. Hey, Gids, wonderful show, mate. You getting to the footy at all this weekend?
No, mate. No. Quiet weekend. I've got a wedding, mate, this weekend up in the beautiful Hunter Valley. So Knights boys play away. So, mate, got the wedding up there. So, mate, I'll put the dancing shoes on and we'll be right amongst that up there. A couple of nice reds.
I love it. No MC duties, mate, or anything like that for you. Just
mate.
To enjoy yourself.
Weekend off. Yep, love for sure.
Beautiful, mate. Hey, listen, you go and enjoy yourself this weekend. And as you said at the top too, we're not far away from Origin too, which is getting really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks too, just seeing the squads and all that.
Absolutely.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, mate. You have a great weekend.
Same to you, buddy. All the best.